Welcome to the 10th ever episode of the BP Show featuring Brian Pearson. I'm here with very special guest, Barstool sports celebrity Frank the Tank Fleming. Frank, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Now, Frank, we're going to get into some sports stuff, obviously, but I wanted to mention 527 straight walks, the Frank walk stuff.
Yep, and it keeps going. I did 529 today.
Round of applause, man. Round of applause. So I just wanted to commend you for that and say you're inspiring a lot of people with that. And so congratulations with that. Now, I want to start with your Devils. Now, Jack Hughes, obviously out for the year. Uh, but the Devils are still in a good spot. They still have the third seed in the wild card. But, Jack
No, they're not
Hughes
going to
out
hold
for the
on.
year. What's that?
They're pretty much done.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, where did the Devils go from here now that Jack Hughes is out?
I don't know. I honestly don't. It's all falling apart because they got a general manager that just can't add any good players.
So they just hired a new coach as well, Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
he's not worked out.
would you say he's better than Lindy Ruff?
Only slightly.
All right. Well, I think the Devils. I mean, your opinion is, they're gonna fall off, but I mean, they still have that third seed. But Jack Hughes being out, that's a huge blow. So I could definitely see it falling off from there. Um, Now, I wanted to also ask about Justin Dowling, and to me, he seems like you've been upset with him just as much as you were with Darren Ruff. Now, what's your opinion on Justin Dowling? Has he become the next Darren Ruff for you?
He just does nothing on the ice. There was one time where he got hit, was adjusting his chin strap while the goal was scored.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, it's tough sledding for the Devils. Now, I also want to get to your Dolphins, and we'll talk some Mets as well. But the Dolphins were about 500ish for the season. Injury problems with Tua. What do you think needs to happen for the Dolphins to get over that next hump?
They didn't. There's no hump anymore. It's now never going to get better until they completely get rid of the Chris Greer. He just is an ineffective, just incompetent general manager.
Do you think Mike McDaniel has anything to do with it?
I just don't think he is that good a coach. I think he runs too loose a ship, and the team is just undisciplined.
Yeah, I mean, and you need a quarterback the majority of the time in order to get over that hump. And
Yeah, well, he Tua just can't stay healthy.
yeah, he's always injured. Tua is always injured. He's shown good flashes, but it's like the dude is a concussion waiting to happen.
Yeah,
So, I think McDaniel's a good coach, but I mean, like you mentioned many times on your Barstool stuff, it's Chris Greer. It's the management. So,
yeah.
you got to add pieces around him. You got Tyreek Hill,
Well, he
but
doesn't think that it's important to have a good offensive line. He finds offensive line is he just doesn't do anything to make the offensive line good.
yeah, and you got to have an offensive line to protect the quarterback because if you don't have an offensive line,
Yeah, well,
quarterbacks can have no time to
they
throw.
got a concussion-prone quarterback. They didn't get a good offensive line, and they didn't get a good job. Didn't do a good job getting the backup quarterback. They had Skylar Thompson out there, and he is probably one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen.
Yeah, I remember he had to come in for Tua last year in the playoffs versus the Bills, and he didn't do anything. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just the Dolphins just need to get over that hump. I mean, they're better than they were, I think, but it's still. I mean, you want to if you're a Dolphins fan, you want a quarterback that's healthy, and you want to make the playoffs. And I think it starts with management. I think you need a little bit better head coach than Mike McDaniel, uh, who actually leads the charge. Like, I'm sure you might know I'm a Harbaugh guy. Like Harbaugh comes in, he wins everywhere he goes. I mean, that's coaching, but there's also another aspect to it of being a good general manager and calling the shots and make sure you have a good core around you, whether it's coaching, whether it's players. Uh, so we're going to get to your Mets, but I want to talk a little more Devils now. Still, the third seed in the wild card. Jack Hughes is out for the year. When do you picture Jack Hughes coming back? And is the HOTDOGO song really that much of a curse?
It's a true curse. Every time they play it, something bad happens.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. I think the Devils will still make the playoffs. It's going to be hard though without Jack Hughes. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, when it comes to your Mets, I remember you were really you didn't like the Carlos Mendoza hire, but in his first year, he came in right away and made it to an NLCS. So how have the Mets been able to have so much success in just Mendoza's first year at the helm?
Mendoza actually ended up being a good manager. What can I say?
Yeah, and you had players such as uh, Francisco Lindor who really turned it on in the later part of the year. Pete Alonso is kind of like I kind of compare him to Chris Davis. You know, kind of strikes out a lot, but he can hit for power as well. So
Yeah,
I
you
think,
just gotta hope that he doesn't become Chris Davis,
yeah,
which is why giving him a short-term deal was a good idea.
yeah. So you got to get him going, keep him going. Francisco Lindor, I remember when we met up in Houston last summer, you were really upset with Francisco Lindor, but he really turned on the Jets in the later part of the season when it mattered. So
Yeah,
that was huge for them.
once June came around, he actually became a pretty good player.
Yeah. And I think the Mets are in awesome shape. Frank, you've been to a lot of places, with Barstool. You've done hot dog reviews and stuff like that, but you've also traveled to a bunch of stadiums. And you again, you've been to a bunch of places. Is there like, where's the coolest place that you've been in your opinion? Like, what's your favorite place that you've been to?
Well, I like going to the Grand Canyon. That was always fun. Going down to Florida, I'm actually going down to spring training in a couple of days, so that was good. And just seeing the whole country, that's always good.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. And so are there any? I mean, the Mets made it to the NLCS, and I know you're really hard on your Mets, but they had a really great season last year under a manager who you didn't believe in at first, but it seems like he's turned out to be a good hire. So, is there anything that you would like to clean up with your Mets?
Well, I'm trying to be more positive this year. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, because I mean, right now it's like they made it to the NLCS, and you have a bunch of good players, and it seems like a good manager under Carlos Mendoza. So I think the Mets are in great shape. We got March Madness coming up as well, and I watched the episode with you and Mikey and Jenks last weekend on the podcast, and you mentioned your Final Four. I think you said you had Auburn in there. Are there who's your Final Four right now? Can you give me a Final Four? And is Auburn still in after the Alabama loss?
It might seem kind of chalky what I'm looking at, but I think Auburn, St. John's, Duke, and you know what? I think uh, I think there'll be a surprise team, maybe Michigan.
Oh wow, you think my Wolverines are going to make the Final Four?
I think there'll be like one surprise team. It depends who's it. There'll be like what. There's always like one surprise team. I think Michigan has a good chance to be that surprise team.
I like it, Frank, because I mean, he made it to the Final Four. I think it was either last year or the year before with Florida Atlantic. Uh, my camp counselor at Eastern Michigan in the early 2000s. Fun fact. So we go way back, and it's so great to see him doing this well in just year one with Michigan. Uh, so I love that pick. And as we kind of wrap up here, Frank, can you give me a rant on something like whether it's Devils or Dolphins? I know you're not happy with your Devils or Dolphins right now. Is there
Well,
anything? Because I know.
well, I'll tell you one thing. The
Go ahead.
Devils won today, and the reason why they won today is because number one, Justin Dowling didn't play, and number two, Simone Nemec didn't play. He's supposed to be a D man, but he's a Mater D. I mean, he just shows people to the goal. He is pathetic. He is putrid. He practices defense by social distancing. He gives the puck away like it's a Pez dispenser, and he's the softest motherfucker I've ever seen. And then he whined about getting sent down to the AHL. Fuck that. Send him down to the fucking ECAHL.
I like it. Yeah, because I mean,
Simone Nemec, an absolute fucking bum. A fucking bum. Total fucking bum.
yeah, and it's not looking good for your Devils, man.
No, it's not.
You know, Jack Hughes out, and Dolphins. Do you have any Dolphins rants you could give me? What are you upset about right now with the Dolphins? Like, obviously Chris Greer, but
Well, we haven't had to start into the league year yet, so I got plenty to get upset on when that starts.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, you got to have your like. I'm a diehard fan, just like you, Frank. Like, I got to have my teams right. Like the Tigers. I'm not a fan of Javier Baez at all. I think he's overpaid. Michigan basketball.
Javier Baez, he just doesn't care.
No, he swings at everything. He swings at stuff in the opposing dugout, and he's making $20 million a year. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I have my gripes too. It's just like we're big time sports fans. It's just how it is. Like, being a Michigan guy, being a Detroit guy, I don't have much to gripe about Detroit sports right now. The Tigers are great, but I think we got to do something about Javier Baez, man. Like that dude, like you said it, he just doesn't care. He swings at everything, and it's stuff that's in the opposing dugout. So, Michigan football can't do much about Harbaugh, going to the pros. Like that was bound to happen. NCAA pushed him out because all the science and BS. I just think it's total garbage. The guy's just a complete winner. Has won everywhere he's been, and that's just my take on it. But yeah, just being a sports fan. I mean, and obviously, like it's in the Devils season, so you're going to be upset about that stuff. The Mets, you got nothing to be upset about. Let's see, Mets, Dolphins, and Devils. Yeah, it's in season, so it is what it is there. But when it comes to New Jersey Transit, has that gotten any better for you? The New Jersey Transit system?
No, it's in fact it only gets worse all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've known that you've complained about it a bunch of times, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Now, I really like that video with when you complained to the guy for New Jersey Transit. You went up and said your piece. That's good stuff, Frank. That's what needs to happen. So, New Jersey Transit, it needs to improve. Like there's no excuses with that. So, totally feel you on that. Frank, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate you being on the show, and I would love to have you on the show again, man.
All right, talk to you next time.
Yeah, sounds great, Frank. Thanks so much.